Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Progressive World, where we talk about everything and anything related to the progressive world. So, as always, I'm joined by my co host, Sam. And this episode, we have quite an international episode, I would say, because there are a lot of elections happening around the world, which have something to do with either like a leftist or a left leaning, something like that, candidate or group. But yeah, so we're going to cover the elections in Germany, which are happening this Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. First round of elections in France, the Norwegian elections that just happened, and also the elections happening in Canada. And then we're going to move on to Progressive World Online, and we're going to talk about probably one of the best Norman Finkelstein interviews I've seen with Briahna. It's really amazing on the Bad Fate podcast. And then finish with some tweets, which will which will give us a chance to talk about AOC's dress, Nina Turner joining TYT, the California recall, and a few other topics. So yeah, Sam, if you have not much to add, do you want to get us going with the country briefs? Oh, and sorry,
Sure.
last thing, I always forget to mention this, timestamps below. So all the timestamps are included below. Yeah.
Yeah. No, cheers for that introduction. So we have a couple of country briefs, first of all. First of all, let's, I think, start with Europe. And I think we're going to start with Germany, which is having elections very soon. I don't know if it's this Sunday. I thought it's 26th of September, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
Or 26th
maybe.
of September is the day result are announced or something like that. But
Oh,
uh,
sorry,
but
you're
more
right.
importantly,
26th of September. My bad. So next Sunday. Yeah.
all right. So it's been quite a roller coaster of election in Germany because you had going back 2 years ago, you had Merkel appointed as sort of a successor. She was not really welcomed by the party, especially by the Bavarian segment of the party, which is very powerful. It's technically a sister party of the CDU, but they're technically separate parties, but nationally they stand together. Then you had the internal fight between Armin Laschet and the which was the again like the more Merkel-backed, more CDU-backed candidate against the Bavarian state leader, who some speculated was going to stand as a independently or as the CDU candidate, or would be better because Armin Laschet's response to COVID in his state and some of his he's been a bit of a guff machine recently. So, uh, so you had all that sort of internal CDU fight because everybody kind of assumed that the left or the center left is dead uh, in Germany. Then you had a sudden
And
rise of the Green.
sorry. So to stop you there. So the CDU, that's of course Angela Merkel's party, and she's done after like 16 years. She doesn't want to run again. But and then so positioning them, they're not like centrist to the left, right? They're considered right wing kind of party, right? Or like center right.
Yeah, there's center right. I mean,
I'm
relative
just
to
saying.
obviously, they're probably more to the left of most of the Labour Party in the UK.
Yeah.
But yes, they are center right German politics wise, and they're Christian. Like, they're quite. I mean, Christian is in their name, so
Yeah.
it's not it can't be that left wing. To be honest,
No, I know. But yeah,
So
the only reason I
yeah.
say that is because exactly like internationally speaking, kind of Angela Merkel seems like more like left leaning sometimes than, the leaders of
But
other countries. But yeah, just
actually,
that's the only reason I asked Reed.
that may also be due to something that I'll get into at the end, but that's maybe due to the fact that it's the Germany's it's coalition governments rather than
Hmm.
UK or US, where one party rule sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that may be due to that too, because we'll get to, like, that's like timeline wise. then we got the Greens sort of surging. They had this candidate whose name I'm gonna butcher again, Annalena Baerbock, and she sort of had a slight sudden surge in some polls, was ahead of CDU and the Socialists, sort of the center-left party of the Germany. And she was experiencing quite a hype, and the Green Party, although then suddenly her fortunes were reversed. I mean, that
can I ask you
I
a
think that
question?
was kind of sure. Yeah.
So like exactly right. I also read that the Green, not only were they leading in the poll, but they did the best in a debate, right? But voters don't go and really, they don't really go and vote for like a leader, like a president. It's not like the US. They're gonna go and vote for like the representative in parliament, right? So these kind of polls are a bit like I don't really get the point to them. I mean, I guess they give you a rough idea, but because it's the leading party that picks whoever's going to lead, who's going to be the next chancellor of Germany, right?
Yeah, her part. No. I think the time we are talking 2 months ago, the time that the debate thing is more recent, but the time that they were saying it was Greens that were polling ahead of the
like
other
across
parties,
the
not just
country
her.
in different, I guess, like in different races. So like this is aggregate of it that they give.
Yes. I have to double check that. I'm not sure. And I think German political system it's a bit of a mix of a proportional and first past the post. So it's a bit of a like you do vote, or I don't know. But no, Greens were polling ahead, but then she had some personal stuff. First of all, suddenly she was seen as this. But I mean, the Greens in Germany are not that, like, they're quite they've been in power, first of all, quite a few times in coalitions, and they are not quite a sort of they got actually the largest donation, financial donation to a party this time, larger than CDU. They had the largest single financial donation, and then she was seen as somebody who embraced business. There were allegations of improper funding of her previous campaigns. There were allegations of plagiarism, plagiarism is very common among German politicians. A couple of Merkel ministers turned out to plagiarize the fact that they had degrees from Oxford and stuff. So that's like a recruiting issue. So then her bubble burst, and then you had this sort of soft-spoken leader of the Socialist Party who I'm gonna get this Olaf Schulz. I'm butchering name. This is like right and left there. But Olaf Schulz now is pulling ahead, and most people think they're gonna have the largest party. Greens are thought to be they are still gonna increase their vote share, but they're gonna win. But he's very much positioning himself in a way as a continuity candidate. He was the finance minister for Merkel, and right now the other candidates are attacking him in the debates based on his handling of corruption and money laundering cases. But in a way, he's in a way kind of he's both appealing to the people who want a continuity candidate and to the people who I think may want a more reformist sort of German government in Europe, maybe. But he's not like that like the difference between him and Merkel, I would imagine, are not that much.
Hold on, let me see. I have one comment and then one thing. Let me see if I got this. And the comment is that the Green Party in Germany apparently has been like getting stronger and stronger over the elections, and they're like they've never had a chancellor though, I think, right? But I think they've had occupied like every level of government and ministry.
They've been in government.
Okay, they've been in government.
Their foreign minister of Germany was a Green Party member.
Okay, no, I said chancellor. I meant so foreign minister.
They never not a chancellor.
But so this person that you were talking right now, who worked in the Angela Merkel administration, he's running for the different party though, right?
They're a coalition government, so you have like ministers from.
So there's three parties right now. Like the Greens, although they're doing very well, they most
Oh,
likely, no, I mean three main ones. Three and three that we've talked about so far. They're the Greens who, although they're popular and they're doing well, they most likely will not win enough seats in parliament to then name the leader. Then there's Angela Merkel's side, which are in fact the more conservative. And then there's like a Labour one. And the Labour one are actually the ones who look like they're going to win right now.
yes.
Got you. I don't know why. when you're not familiar with the politics of another country, it can be like so complicated.
Yeah,
Although
yeah,
you're
no,
just
fair
trying
enough.
to
No,
like
no.
put three names. Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
the actual results will probably be either grand coalition between the center left and center right, or a sort of a more rainbowish sort of leftist coalition with the Greens, or maybe there is a radical left party which had a moment under the sun for like 5 minutes a couple of years ago. So you know, that's possible too. So you know, these are, but I mean, economic outcomes would be interesting. I think Olaf Schulz is a bit more open to the idea of sort of euro bonds and that type of thing. So economically, it could be interesting to have somebody from a different party as a chancellor, but not. I mean, it's very tiny differences, but could be fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I
So
think,
I mean, I have nothing else.
yeah. No, and nothing to say. Do you have anything to say about Angela Merkel and her legacy? I guess I saw that she's like the only chancellor who hasn't lost an election. I guess that she's going away,
Oh wow, I
by her
didn't know
own
that.
will. Yeah, apparently. And yeah, I mean, compared to the other people who you see on the international stage, she wasn't like the most hated
She
one. I guess
was.
she was loved by
Uh,
the media in some way. And one thing which was like, I guess, really interesting on an international level is when there were the migrant crisis and, a lot of the European migrant crisis and a lot of the European countries wanted to kind of close their borders. And I mean, of course, she came out and said, we won't accept 1 million, whatever you think, if it's more like symbolic or whatever. I mean, it wasn't too bad given, the usual
my
gestures you see out there.
Yeah, my overall analysis is that I think this word, especially negatively thrown around a lot, that somebody is a technocrat, like Obama and that type of thing. But actually, I think she was actually like what is meant by technocrat is a capable manager that
Yeah, I like
like
that
can
take.
manage. Yeah, I think she was a good technocrat. She was not I think I think
Not a
calling Obama a
charismatic
technocrat is
leader.
too much. No, yeah, or like she didn't have any. I don't think she really shifted German like
Yeah.
politics to it. But yeah, she was pretty good. I think she was. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
yeah. I mean, let's remember what they did to Greece.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was a big one, right? I guess that's like a story from a good decade ago now. So
yeah. No, I
and the whole
mean, yeah.
Eurozone crisis.
She was good. Yeah, she was all right.
Yeah.
She was better than most European and most global leaders. I would say she was better.
But
But
so that's actually good. That's a
yeah.
good segue. So you bring up, the whole European thing. So let's move on to
Oh
the
yeah.
other country that kind of runs the EU, who's considered as being one of the two countries that benefits the most from the EU, which is France. So explain the context first. This is like the first round of, are these like primaries going on right now? Is that
Yes.
one way to put it?
Yes. I mean I think that's the easiest way to put it. Exactly. The Socialist Party, which is the sort of center left party of France, and which has been crushed. They were in power right before Macron for 5 years, but in a very sort of fragile position.
With François Hollande.
With Hollande. Yeah, exactly. And then Macron sort of set up his own party and came to power. But the socialists are now counting on this. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know enough about French politics, but I did find this lady. She's a mayor of Paris, uh, Anne Hidalgo. I believe she's of Spanish ancestry, and yeah, she's getting a lot of coverage and a lot of like sort of center left international media right now. That she's going to become she's the most likely winner of the primaries of the Socialist Party in France, and she's been, I just read some very basic stuff about her, so I really don't know much about her. But she's been pretty good on anti-cult stuff. I think she's been because France has these strong anti-cult and anti-religious uh, 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 laws. So I quite like that, actually. I was quite interested by that. And apparently she's been good as a mayor of Paris, like in reducing pollution and all that. But I don't know enough about her. But yeah, it seemed like the center left or the globe, like this, they're pushing her a lot and she's getting a lot of traction. So I thought that's something, I should maybe bring up.
No, that's interesting. And I mean, I guess depending on how far she makes it, we have a lot of time for getting to know her better and her policies and everything. But yeah, I saw that she started appearing on TV. Although I saw this poll, and this poll was in a French newspaper that was talking about how this right-wing TV host is finally got like double digits in a poll. And in this poll, I checked and she was doing really bad. Like so I mean, but I'm not sure. Like maybe she'll win the yeah, she's doing bad nationally.
Yeah,
so I guess she can win the primary of her own party.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. She's like most polls still predict that first of all Macron will win.
Yeah, Macron had a good lead.
And it will be Macron and Le Pen head to head again.
But that's so. But I mean, it's interesting exactly with Le Pen and the whole fact that this right wing host was doing well. So I found this. I was reading this in the news that there's this new like channel called CN News, and it's pretty much like Fox News, and it's opened up after the kind of Gilets jaunes movement and stuff in France, and apparently it's very similar. And they're saying, where was it increasingly? It's and apparently they have become France's #1 news network. So they're pretty much like Fox and so I mean, I guess there's also maybe the right wing side, but I mean,
let me mention this. This is from your news. Also the left is really divided. So you're gonna have at least four different leftist parties standing: the communists, the Greens, the Insomnis party. I don't know how to pronounce that. I mean, French. So,
but I can see the word right now. So
it sounds like insomnia party, but in SOUMISE party.
I don't know. I can't tell. Like, this is hard.
Anyway, but so it's gonna be so the left. I imagine that the French guy equivalent of sort of Corbyn, Bernie. His name escapes my name, but the guy last time he would do holograms of himself all around France, and
I don't remember.
Came third, I think, in the first round. Anyways, I think he would stand again probably for one of communists or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I mean, left has no hope, but we'll see.
I mean, Le Pen. My guess is that like Le Pen, who is like, I guess, right wing populist, and I think in the last election she did the best that she had done. My guess would be now that she would do that or even better, because of like those sentiments with the Gilets jaunes, and also like the COVID certificate in France, and there's like a lot of protests. So I'm sure her base has either been like just strengthened or maybe has even grown a little bit. But it's usually the same people where these kind of issues touch. So it's kind of I think it's probably strengthened them a bit, but unified them, brought them together. But yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
got a
but
few new members because the COVID thing did touch in France. I think like the health sector is quite maybe a little bit more divided on it than in some other Western countries. I don't know. It seems so from the outside.
yeah, it is quite scary though. That Le Pen is not. It's not like Trump, or it's like Bolsonaro. More like
Yeah.
I can never. Yeah, just so too many foreign names. I can't do this. But yeah, she's a real like yeah. That anyways, I mean, yeah, that would it's quite a scary if you'll see if it becomes pretty much that now France's election are basically going to be between the right wing and the far
Centrist.
right.
Yeah.
And
Center,
like
yeah.
France is like famous well center right and yeah far right pretty
Yeah.
much, so it's crazy.
No, true. Okay, very good. Shall we continue?
Yeah,
What's
let's move
the
on
next
to
country?
Norway,
Norway,
I
yeah.
believe.
So they already
So
had their
Norway,
election, right?
yeah, this is more like a morning session, shall we call it, or yeah, this is not good. So in Norway, there was a lot of prior to the election, there was a lot of talk that the Green Party in Norway is going to do well, and one of the things they were very much maneuvering on was the fact that they're going to end the fossil fuel industry. And Norway was having a center-right government at the time. By the way, center-right government in Norway is like I don't know, the Communist Party in America. I don't, but it's like it's the differences are just so tiny. But anyway, but the center-right prime minister was saying that he would not phase out fossil fuel industry even after 2050. So the Greens were experiencing a big surge in the polls and all that, but not in a way. By the way, again, Norway coalition government, not in a way that they would win a full outright majority, but they would become kingmakers. So whoever wants to go into the government, they have to deal with them. But that didn't materialize, and now the sort of center-left party actually won enough seats to be able to form a strong coalition without the Greens. They probably gonna form a coalition with the Socialist Party, which is again another sort of center-left party. I don't know enough about the Socialist Party, but I get a strong liberal Democrat UK vibe from them, because they sort of were quite leftist, but then they went into power. Then they came out 7th in an election. Now they're slowly sort of building back. So I have a feeling that they are sort of center-lefty, Socialist Left Party. That's the specific name. So Labour Party, which is a center-left party in Norway, is probably going to form a coalition with the Socialist Left Party, or possibly they may include some deals with the Greens or something as well. But yeah, the government changed hands from the center-right government to the sort of center-left government. They probably not going to be as aggressive on the fossil fuel industry stuff, but they're not going to
as the Greens.
They're not going to pledge to end because it's the biggest industry in Norway.
Yeah.
Frankly.
No, yeah, I read that it's 14% of their GDP right now, and like somewhere like 40% of their export. And apparently the fund that they have, so like the sovereign like wealth fund that they have where all this money goes in, and then apparently there's a website you can go on and then you see like the wealth of it going up and the investment. So every Norwegian is kind of like checking on their stock. Like, okay, my personal stuff are not doing good, but
the oil business is that's how, to be honest, if it wasn't bad for the environment or that stuff, like any business, I think that's the problem. Good, that's not a bad way of running like a state business with full transparency and all that. That sounds good. Anyway, that was just a side note. But that was quite disappointing for the Greens, though.
But I mean, it did change, I guess, from like the right to the left, kind of a little bit from
Yeah,
like the
yeah. All
center right.
again they're in talks to form a coalition, and we might see a grand coalition. So, you never know.
Okay, good stuff. Do we have anything on the UK?
Yep. Now we can move to the sort of Commonwealth brief now.
Yeah.
Sort of, we're done with the European stuff. I see your, yeah, your pet is.
Yeah, I
acting
might be getting robbed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So, yeah, in the UK, it's not election and stuff. So that's why I think you didn't mention it in your opening. But we had a couple of interesting stuff, which is close to my heart. So I'm gonna, talk about it. First of all, we had a major political news in terms of UK, which was the cabinet reshuffle, which happened just today. And it was
Yeah.
quite brutal cabinet reshuffle. And I'm gonna give a bit of my own take at the end. But what you had with the cabinet reshuffle, you had major figures like Gavin Williamson, who've been criticized a lot during the pandemic, the education minister. He got demoted or pretty much fired to the backbenchers. You had Dominic Raab, foreign secretary, demoted to a lower sort of profile job. His position was given to Liz Truss, and the position of education secretary was given to Nadeem Zahawi, who is I'll get into kind of what I think are the differences between these these groups. But it's still a conservative government. It's still extremely right-wing people coming to power. But I think it was a interesting reshuffle and kind of reflects Boris Johnson's thinking in a way, because I think Liz Truss and Nadeem Zahawi, first of all, they're both, I think, are a bit more one nation conservative in a sense that they are more protection. Like conservatism in the UK is very different from republicanism in the US. They are they're a bit more protectionist, more sort of, they are sort of nationalistic without being as racist in a way because of the empire stuff, or without the pretense of the thing. Underneath they may be as bad and all that. Nadeem Zahawi himself is of a minority background, I believe. And Liz Truss, for example, I hope you put this video because I'm pretty sure it's not copyrighted or anything, like before I explain it.
We are selling tea to China. Yorkshire tea. When it comes to British food and drink, we have never had it so good. But as well as exporting our fantastic food abroad, I want to see us eating more British food here in Britain. At the moment, we import 2/3 of all of our apples. We import 9/10 of all of our pears. We import 2/3 of our cheese. That is a disgrace.
But she's most famous for a video you hopefully see, but this video that she goes on about how 2/3 of the cheese in the UK is imported, and the way she just describes the whole situation is fantastic. Just watch the video. It's a huge laugh. And Nadeem Zahawi is another guy who's a bit more sort of working class conservative, or at least that's how he presents himself in the way he talks and all that. But Dominic Raab and Gavin Williamson, like Dominic Raab was just like, like David Cameron, somebody like, somebody who, like, when he was being raised, probably was told that, at some point you should become a prime minister, that's it, that's, that, or a minister, like, he was just a typical British minister and all that. And he got pretty much he went got a lot of heat and fire over the Afghanistan withdrawal and the fact that he was vacationing on Crete in Greece at the time when the whole withdrawal was being done very badly. And
according to some.
Yeah, according to some. So yeah, he got these were the most important. You also had really this figure. I'm just looking for her name. This sort of celebrity, semi-celebrity figure. I'm looking for her name. Sorry. Oh, Doris. Miss Doris, I forget her first name, but she's this. I mean, her level is genuinely tabloid celebrity. She was on some of these Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, one of these programs, and she became the culture secretary. And just go read some of her tweets. It's disgraceful. She shouldn't be in charge of like a primary school like literature class. I don't. It's just pathetic. So I think, and figures like her though, and Liz Truss and Nadeem Zawahiri to different extents though, I think reflect that Boris Johnson is trying to sort of surround himself with figures that are they own their rising power to him first of all, not to somebody else, not to the Conservative Party per se, and they are more sort of nationalistic and all that, because UK also has a sort of UK is also experiencing the same trend that I think a lot of countries are with the whole more inward-looking nationalistic thing. It was interesting you mentioned that in France you had that channel, because you had this channel launched recently in the UK, GB News, Great Britain News, I assume, and it's been trying to emulate Fox News and like that type of thing with little success though.
Mm-hmm.
Recently they had Andrew Neil, who was their biggest sort of name, quit. Andrew Neil is a right-wing news editor and a BBC host, former BBC host. So yeah, it seems that that's somewhat reflected, I think, in this cabinet reshuffle. Although UK ministers are like, take everything I say with a grain of salt. If anybody's seen the thick of it, or Yes Minister, they don't have any powers really. Civil servants run the things, and they're just. It's more a reflection of like internal political power, party power, rather than I doubt any significant changes in education. We're going to see big changes in education policy or things like that.
I see. Yeah, that was interesting. That happened. I saw that happen between yesterday and today. Anything else to say about Johnson in general, like his position? I heard that he's a bit less popular now, but maybe it has to do with the COVID situation and the kind of reopening and closing and all this. But I guess since we've mentioned this a bunch of time, given that labor is so weak, I mean, for now, he really doesn't have much to worry about anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great segue actually to what I wanted to talk about next, which is the continuous labor infighting and lack of vision. Sorry about that, probably abrupt cut right there. I think labor deepest state, probably Peter Mandelson was trying to take us out, because I was going to talk about the Labour Party, because you mentioned the fact that the Labour Party is not doing well in the polls, and now pretty much every faction of the party, including the radical left, they hate Keir Starmer now after the whole Jeremy Corbyn suspension and removal of the whip, even after that he's been restored to the party. They pretty much hate him now. Center left is also not a big fan. Like Gordon Brown, let's say, type of people. Angela Rayner seems to be sort of thinking of going for his position. At the same time, you have sort of even Blairites and stuff. Their whole thing was winning, and he's just losing. and Blair had some level of, I don't know, charisma, but like you wouldn't immediately just think like, okay, I rather watch paint dry, than Keir Starmer talk.
Yeah.
But that's the effect he's having. And so we had a couple of developments there. One was that the leader of the Youth Labour group said that there's going to be a Labour conference in Brighton in a month, less than a month, and they said that a Palestinian one Palestinian group, sorry, let me get the name right. The Palestinian, where is it? Oh, sorry.
Where is?
The Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, who has had a spot on apparently Labour conference to speak for many years, they would be excluded, and Jeremy Corbyn would be excluded, and anybody that because of their support for BDS, for boycott and divestment movement. And then, and by the way, we've discussed that movement before. I'm not a big fan, but I don't think people should be excluded based on that. And they said they're not going to let Jeremy Corbyn talk. But then, interestingly, Jerusalem Post and Middle East Eye both reported that apparently they said that was a mistake. Labour officials said that a statement was a mistake. So typical of Keir Starmer type of thing. Same thing happened when he sort of fired Angela Rayner, but then he then gave her two promotions basically to make up for it because of backlash. Or the suspension of Jeremy Corbyn, then he's back to the party, then whip removed, just incompetence and even lack of courage of your conviction, whatever those conviction may be, even if they're bad.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that, because on Novara Media, I was watching Novara Media, and Ash was saying how apparently Keir Starmer is supposed to write a 14,000 word essay. You're gonna get to that? Okay.
Exactly.
I was gonna say that exactly adds to what you're saying, and yeah, she was pretty much saying like, nobody wants to read that. I don't want to read that. Just do it. You don't need to tell us.
Besides, I mean, I watched, by the way, their coverage was pretty good as well, I think. But these are he's gonna write a 14,000. He has written a 14,000 word essay with, by the way, what former speechwriters of Blair. So he's just clearly establishing himself in that thing, and he's going to present it to the Fabian Society, which was, by the way, full disclosure, I went to LSC. That's that was their university and all that. So
what is that? That's like
it used to be left wing, now it's center left think tank now, very kind of light Blair right, I would say. But and I love the fact that they said this is going to be an answer to the fact this is what they are saying. The people who work for Keir Starmer, senior Labour figure, said it's supposed to set out this Starmer credo. It's essentially an answer to those who say, what do you believe in and what do you stand for? And I'm sure that it will suffice and do that job. So that's what they are saying, themselves, the people who support him. And then they themselves go on to say that, where is it? I'm sorry, I'm looking for it. The essay is not expected to include any new Labour policy announcements, but simply mirror the sentiment of his conference speech, with a source telling the Sunday Times it will be an intellectual version of the flagship address. So
it's a nothing.
Yeah, we're gonna set out a vision, but we're not gonna tell you about it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a very interesting 14,000 word goddamn essay.
How much longer do you think Keir Starmer is gonna last? I mean, he just lost a round of elections, so
he won barely, and he tried, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not sure if he's gonna last till the next election, because he's just so bad. Even like, the Blair rights, they're like, Jesus Christ, like, do something. Yeah, so I don't know. And Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester, he's looking good right now. So there are people who could go for his job. Although considering that he's a mayor and UK is a parliamentary system and all that, it is a bit more difficult to, like it would be. There has to be a by-election, I suppose, and all that, or Andy Burnham have to. I don't know. So it would be difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He's just so terrible. He's just so goddamn terrible that. And I add, it's just not him. Lisa Nandy, who was a sort of she's seen as sort of playwrighty as well, although maybe not quite that playwrighty. Like she came out saying that, again, she in an interview with a right-wing host who, by the way, has had anti-Semites, like proper anti-Semites, like people who work for like Aryan Newsweekly type things. He's had those people on his show. Lisa Nandy is talking to this person, and at the same time she's saying that, yeah, like if Jeremy Corbyn, for example, goes independent and stand as an independent instead of a Labour, I'll go and help the Labour candidate, and like it's all about the Jewish people who have been hurt by his actions and his activities. You are talking to somebody who associates with Aryan Nation people. Like I just don't understand anything anymore. I thought
Same bullshit as always.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's not just Keir Starmer, to be fair. It's just the whole Labour Party sucks. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
At the moment, I mean, they haven't been in power for a while now.
Well, yes, they haven't been for many years. 2008, 9. Was it when Cameron coalition 2009? I think. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, like if you look at the UK and Japanese history, pretty much like it's been a one-party rule from World War II with like a 5-year gap with this like sort of a fared way sort of Labour Party that tried to. The only reason they got elected was because they pretended to be right-wing. So yeah, it's just like
I see.
It's not looking good. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, obviously.
But yeah, okay. Anything else with the UK?
No, I think we're done with the UK.
Nice.
But
so let's move on to our last country, which is Canada.
Yes.
So help me set up the scene here. But pretty much Canada is going to have elections on Sunday or Monday, and there were snap elections, which the Prime Minister Trudeau, what do you say?
Called.
What's the word? Yeah, called. Which I'm not too sure. I mean, some saying he called it because things were looking good at the time when he called it. It was the beginning of the vaccine rollout and all this. It was good time. But now apparently the Conservatives have closed the gap a bit. And again, it's kind of like in the UK situation where you vote, sorry, not the UK, like in Germany. So you vote for your member of the parliament, and then whichever party gets the most vote, they get to elect the leader. So if the Liberals win, it will be Trudeau again, of course. And if not, the Conservatives have someone who is apparently doing better than usual. But yeah, what do you have to say? What do you have to add, or what the main issues have been?
That was quite interesting. Most of the content I could find was the things that, first of all, a lot of people emphasize that it was a snap election called by Trudeau, and one of the major things that he's been criticized on is the fact that he's people are saying, why are you putting us through this, and then besides that, I read a lot about the coverage of the debates and stuff, and in one of the debates, I forget if it was the French language one or the English one, he's pushed number of times on saying that if he's re-elected, would he serve the full 4-year term, the maximum amount a prime minister can serve, and he sort of dodges that question. So that's become a big question. What I found quite interesting, and I thought really worth speaking about, was the fact that it seems that in the English speaking and the French speaking debates, there was quite a lot of difference. In the English speaking, debate. Apparently, Trudeau was attacked on handling of Afghanistan, dealings with China, and the pandemic handling in general. So these were the main issues in the English debate that he was attacked on. But in the French one, with the focus was far more on climate policy and economy and vaccination rollouts, which apparently has been a bit of a mixed sort of thing, mixed
That's
response
very
from the people.
interesting.
And by the way, I'd just like to point out you have the leftist, or like, let's say, more progressive, I don't know what you want, whatever candidate is probably the NDP candidate, Jagmeet Singh, who's I believe of ethnic minority
he has a Sikh background,
and he's been making he made a lot of I mean, in the center left media, at least in Guardian and stuff, they did a lot of profiles of him and shit. So he's the more leftist candidate in the election. 2 years ago, I think he was doing quite well in polls, but apparently not so much now.
Yeah, with the NDP, it always seems to be the story. I know that before Trudeau becoming prime minister, so when it was the Conservatives and it was Harper, and it wasn't looking good for him, during that time, NDP was even leading in polls, but then Trudeau and Liberals kind of easily beat them. But then it was interesting how you said because the NDP like got shy a bit from moving to the left, so they started presenting themselves as centrist, and Trudeau just easily closed the gap. But it's interesting how the issues are different in the French interview comparing to the English one, because the French one realistically the only people who would be interested in that are people living in Quebec and some of the other very small provinces. And people I think in Quebec, the Liberals have no issue winning. Go ahead.
In Canada, English speakers are usually taught French. Like, can they? Would they understand it from radio?
No, I'm generalizing, but like, I'm thinking, especially, so let's say, because in Alberta and they're gonna, on the East Coast where they also only speak English, they're gonna vote Conservatives. So it's gonna come down to pretty much, I think, people in Ontario, the biggest state, which has about 10 million, so almost a third of the population. And there, I would say, like, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but maybe like 25 or 50% of the population don't really speak any French. That's maybe, I might be wrong, but based on my experience, like in Toronto, if you walk around and you go in a supermarket and you speak French, I don't know. Like, people are taught in school, but really as a second language kind of thing. Whereas in Quebec, they speak French and that's their language. So yeah, it's interesting how I can see different issues being debated because maybe they're speaking to completely different audiences. Although I guess the debate could have picked the issues too, kind of in that sense, like they do in the States. They do.
True. Maybe it was a media decision to have these issues talked about here, and maybe. But Trudeau, both debates, it seems to be everybody focusing on attacking him. But
okay, really sorry about that, everyone. But I think that's the end of the whole country briefs. That was all about elections, really. Elections all over the place. So this Canadian election is also going to take place on Sunday or Monday, and most likely will either be won by, of course, a Liberal in Trudeau or the Conservatives, who will become Go ahead.
I think the anti-electoral forces are against us today because so many technical difficulties. We had like 4 so far, and I think 2 of them have affected our recording so far.
Yeah. But okay, so let's move on from that. Let's move on and have some fun, or even some more fun, however you want to put it, with Progressive World Online. So before we go to the tweets, let's talk about, I mean, I've only seen one part because Bad Fate has only put up one part so far on their YouTube channel, but I'm sure part 2 is going to come, and some people are maybe subscribed to that. We should subscribe to them on Patreon.
It's behind a paywall, I believe.
You have to subscribe on Patreon, $5 a month, which is really not much. But I mean, Sam, this interview is legendary. I mean, I've listened to the first whatever part it is, if it's the first or second one between Norman Finkelstein and Briahna, it's just too funny. Like, I mean, I feel like anything you ever say to Norman Finkelstein, he thinks that you're not agreeing with him. Like, his starting position is a position of disagreement. But yeah, go ahead, and then we'll set up the scene, what it's about, kind of. Yeah.
I don't, to be honest, I think Norman Finkelstein is from New York, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I don't know. But I think it's Bill Burr is from Boston. He's a comedian, but he has this thing that he says, and I think it's very true for different groups of people at different countries, but like New England people and from certain generation especially, I think the way they talk, it's very aggressive. Yeah. It's just, it comes across as if they're like arguing with you, and they're just like trying to tell you, like, pass me like a cup of tea or something, but it just comes across very aggressive. Yeah. Sometimes. But yeah, I know what you mean a bit. Well, I would say, just as first of all, it's just great content, Bad Faith, and even though I haven't subscribed financially to them because can't yet, I really urge everybody to, because a lot of interviews I don't watch anymore, because I feel like Norman Finkelstein or Noam Chomsky or whoever goes on and repeats the same old stuff, and everybody agrees with each other.
But she finds a point of contention. There's a point to her interviews, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it moves the discussion forward always. And apparently, I haven't read the article, but Norman Finkelstein has written an article about
it's a book, Obama. I believe, and this is a chapter of it.
Oh, really? Okay, I think, but this part of it has been released as article.
Yeah, is it? Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get my hands on it. If that's the case, we'll revisit this conversation, I feel, when the rest of it comes out. But so should I just set the scene of the interview very quickly then?
I just wanted to point out that it was a great content. It's not a repeat of like same old thing.
No, very good point. And it's like Briahna that brings that out of it. And I think we'll get to that even more. But the interview kind of starts right away into it. So there's no introduction. That's why I'm not even sure if it's the beginning or like middle part of it, but pretty much based on my understanding, Norman has a new book coming out, and one of the chapters is on Obama. And I think the chapter, based on how I understand the interview, pretty much talks about how absurd and I guess fake Obama and how much of a narcissist Obama was and his whole campaign. I'm assuming it's something around that. And the point of contention, I feel, between Briahna and Norman is that Norman brings in like a lot of things that are, I guess, like on the superficial level of attack too. Like in the interview, there's one part where he's like, and he had one person who was black on his team. Yeah.
Jerry, I want to say Jerry Vallet, but it's not that. It's something else. Fuck.
I don't know the name. And then he goes and say, but for all intents and purposes, that person was white. And then he goes on an anecdote about how in the hospital they actually thought it was a white baby.
No.
Brianna's
the child,
when it was a baby.
The child of that person was, I think.
The child of that person. Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, something like that. So then Briahna's pretty much like, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You've put on kind of all these like superficial layer of attack in your argument. And I think that kind of dilutes it and kind of makes you seem like, you have an agenda or a vendetta against Obama. And yeah, so that undermines your more substantial arguments. But I kind of both agree with Briahna, but also not, because you can see the way that Norman puts it. It just becomes, I feel like it highlights the absurdity of like Obama and his campaign, these kind of details that he points out, and it makes it more fun. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take kind of on their point of contention and everything?
Again, it was so surprising because it happens a lot with Bad Faith that I think I'm gonna like agree with somebody and then I agree with somebody else, and he's like, what? Yeah. So I agree a bit with. I agree substantially. I'm gonna contradict myself as usual, but I'm gonna first, I'm gonna agree with Briahna Greyjoy, because I do think if you mix personal attacks with substantive attacks, you undermine your intentions, and people gonna be like, I don't think you're. Even if the substance is true, I can't trust what you're saying because you seem to have a personal grudge. But I think, to be honest, with Norman Finkelstein's case, first of all, I don't think it really matters, because I don't think, like, writing, academic work, all of this, I don't think any of this will change anything. So at the end, I don't think it like this whole argument that you're trying, because Briahna Greyjoy talks about communication and bringing people together. I don't think that's possible. So
I mean,
while
it's
I
not
agree
that.
with her strategy, but I just don't think it's gonna, even even if you do what she says and do best of intentions and all of that, it's not gonna work. And like, not gonna work in a scale big enough to matter. Not that's what I
Sure,
mean.
if you're gonna put it that way,
So,
sure.
so might as well just say what you want. That's one. And I would say I do think with Mr. Finkelstein, Professor Finkelstein, I feel that's part of his humor as well. Like, and I think maybe it would have been better if he had sort of like a opinion, like sort of Gore Vidal has a series of essays which I love and I read constantly. Like, if he had a series of essays like Gore Vidal, because he has the same sort of biting tongue and all that, and then had a series of different things. And by the way, maybe I am being too harsh, because Gore Vidal attacks individuals on such a, I mean, he's so much even more ruthless than Norman Finkelstein. But yeah, it's just yeah. And by the way, I would say it's a recruiting thing with Mr. Finkelstein, because with Alan Dershowitz as well, and this is in a documentary about him, that even Noam Chomsky says that he should let go of the plagiarism issue. He should just focus on the substance. But I think he's such a stickler for the rules and for consistency and all that, that, you know, he couldn't there. I think that also damaged, like, if he focused on the substance of that feud, he would have won. But then it became about plagiarism and who says what is plagiarism. And I think, by the way, Mr. Finkelstein was right, but Harvard took Alan Dershowitz's side. So,
yeah,
you know, but
no, you're so
yeah.
right.
So I know I'm contradicting myself like 3 times in the same
But
paragraph.
that's also my point. I mean, that's also how I kind of saw it. But yeah, Norman and his style is so funny. I mean, I feel like he couldn't be a lawyer only because he wouldn't be able to stick to the best argument. He'll be like, okay, I will present this argument, but I also have to present these 5 other arguments. And he'll be like, no, this one's going to undermine you. You're going to have to throw the whole thing.
No, I have to destroy. Psych, I just want them to die, like, psychologically as well as physically.
So, but I mean, it's really made me want to buy this chapter or book, because it sounds like it's super entertaining too.
To be honest, his writing is really interesting. I read it as in a bit as a polemic, like as an attack. Like, they used to do these writings that they would attack an individual. Like, again, why I love Christopher Hitchens. I think there is a mockery in their attacks that undermines this whole culture that I think we're going to talk about in the tweet section a bit, that idolizes people, that puts people on a pedestal. And I think Norman Finkelstein's writing, intentionally or unintentionally, when he talks about, like, yeah, people essentially not being black, which is just Briahna Greyjoy is like, Professor, you're not black, how can you? And he's like, I don't care. I can say whatever I want based on evidence. It's just, it's just so they're mocking the whole. I think that aspect of, like, you know, because Obama is very much idolized by many as this intellectually capable, even if he wasn't a good president. That wasn't because that was because he was too good. He believed too much in, you know, bipartisanship, and which is not, like, it's just not true. Like, he was quite, I mean, I think before he got elected, Adolf Reed wrote about his politics quite,
Yeah.
eye-opening before he got elected as a
No,
first
Obama is
term
certainly not
president.
smart
So,
in those ways, but he's smart in like the kind of Trump way in a way, just like a total opposite of it, just like his brand and image and knowing what to put out and reading the room in that sense.
I believe Matt Christman, the guy from Chapo Trap House, he described him as, he said like, Trump is reality TV American president, and Obama is like prestige TV American
really
president.
good.
And yeah, he's like, he can give a good like turn of phrase. He can give a good turn of phrase and stuff. But I mean, he's smart. I just don't. He doesn't have the best intentions. And he's not even intellectually that. Yeah, I mean.
No,
I'm gonna read Mr. Finkelstein.
And it's all about himself. I mean, it is like one point, like he clarified it very well. I mean, anyway, this interview is a must watch. Like anybody has to see it. And Briahna does get frustrated at points, but I know that she knows that it's no more Finkelstein, but she's just trying to get in there. He's like going on and on. The longest answer to then make his point. But one point that really highlights, he's like just juxtaposed like the Bernie campaign and the Obama campaign. And he's like, what comes to your mind first, right? With the Bernie one, it's like Medicare, it's kind of all these issues. Whereas the Obama one is kind of change, but like Obama himself, so he's like, they're like a great way to juxtapose them. And then another issue that they talk about is they criticize identity politics. And that's the point where Norman gives the longest answer, talking about how he knows some kids and they all kind of live with each other. And then to reach like a final point of saying that, there's all these different kids who have to live together and they've come together and live together from different backgrounds. So African-American, trans, white, and all this. And this kind of identity politics, instead of uniting these people stronger and bringing them together, it kind of separates them. So that's kind of one issue, because I'm kind of thinking of the issues that they talked about, but most of it was just everything and anything came in this interview. Hold on. Like there's even one point where Norman talked about his like reading habits. He's like, I read every single part of the book, the references. I'm like, how did this get into a 20-minute conversation? Which
ISBN fucking number. I memorize it. But no, I would. Yeah, I think, for example, like when he talks about, like that person is, not black or something. Like he's specifically referring to a specific American culture of like, blackness and all that. It's just, but it's just that answer I forgot. I genuinely have to go rewatch the interview. I've seen it twice, I think, and because it was weird. Like I don't really. He started with the whole students and I don't know.
But I listened to it a few times. You have to keep on listening, and then he like brings it all together. He brings it home. But I mean, he can say whatever he wants, right?
But it's awesome.
You can't come after him anymore either. Now he can't. I mean, he can't work at a university. He doesn't have a family for you to kill. His parents are dead. I mean, unless you're gonna torture him,
I'm sure he has friends or something.
Come and take his house. His couch that he's been sitting on since the turn of the century.
I mean, he's paid the price already for this stuff.
For sure.
I can't believe he's not officially not a professor, something which gets mentioned. And it's
I mean, he's not allowed to teach. We've done stories where like, we've done a story where high school. It was a high school that wouldn't give him a job. And like the universities, and now he does get teaching roles, but like, he like goes to Turkey, or it's like, he gets like the kind of jobs that someone who just got their PhD got, or something like that, like a young teacher assistant, like one semester.
He I think maybe better than that or something, but like
doesn't sound like
it. Well, Samuel Huntington, Fukuyama, these people have. It's just unbelievable. People who have like all the evidence in the world have proven them wrong, and are basically like just crazy people. I think Alan Dershowitz, that pedophiliac. Anyway,
But man, I mean, for sure. I mean,
allegedly.
It is so unfortunate, and like I really don't condone this whatsoever. I completely condemn it. But it's clear that he could literally say the same. He could have said the same things, but in a different style, and picked one or two less beefs, and there would have been he wouldn't have encountered that many issues.
Sure,
but just
you could.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. But a lot of outlets do that already, though, and nothing changed.
And you can still get in trouble
but
like that.
That's just not his style, I think.
Yeah.
He just loves, as you said, he loves to completely destroy his scorched earth like argument. I think. Yeah, you're right, though.
And I mean, he's so unique for being such an activist and a scholar in the same area. So he's not like an activist in one thing and like a scholar in like, you know, Japanese art or something that has nothing to do. So he's like a very good point of reference for people, you know, like Norman Finkelstein said this and all this. So any cause that he's tried to help, I think he's helped through his personality more than if he had a more laid back personality because of the attention that is brought and everything. If anything.
Sure, but then I don't know, but I love his style of writing.
Yeah, no, I love his style.
So I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So
no, it wouldn't have been the same.
I know he would have had a better career, but
poor guy.
I wouldn't have enjoyed his writing as much. So,
but
I vote for but it was a fucking great interview, nonetheless. I'm seriously, After I like usefully I'm really considering this now.
What? Oh, to subscribing
up for to her
Patreon. Yeah, to Bad Fate. Well, it really seems like it's her Patreon now because it's kind of a one-person show at the moment, Bad Fate, but podcast. Well, at least on camera.
Yeah.
But anything else to add about this interview? I mean, I'm sure she's gonna upload another part. Anything else to add? I'm sure she's gonna upload another part so we can revisit this subject. And maybe we can find his text. I don't know.
Yes, if we could, I'll hopefully I'll read it.
But I tried Googling his book. But okay, Sam, do you have your phone next to you?
Maybe they were referring to a specific chapter in a previous. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, yes, I have. To look it up.
You mean that you want to go to the?
Yeah, should we move on to the?
Now go to the tweet section. Yes.
Progressive tweets, quote unquote. I hope people understand that this is like a kind of big, wide like basket of people who fall into this progressive tweets. So don't take it too literally.
I don't even consider myself really a progressive.
So don't take it too literally. Yeah. But I think nowadays the term progressive in like the US and in this YouTube world, you can convey quite a strong message of when you're saying you're familiar with progressive or you're sympathetic or you're progressive, people know kind of what you're talking about. So I think it's a semi-useful label to get the conversation going.
Yeah. No, it's useful, to be honest, in terms of like when you want to do a YouTube, if I want to find the content that is close to what I think, I probably use that keyword. Yeah. That's labels are useful pretty much at all labels, progressive, left, right, all of them are pretty much as useful as this much. But that they can help you categorize.
What is the history of progressive, like the term? Like, do you know, like, where does it come from? I mean,
I actually think originally it was the more right-wing Democrats in America that started calling them, like, at least at some point they had the hold of this word progressive at some point. Because I remember this thing with the MSNBC host, the famous, or a CNBC host, famous one, that actually I think gets into a fight with Glenn Greenwald and says that I'm not as scared to call myself a liberal. I call myself a liberal, not a progressive like you guys, or something like that. So it's like populism. It's got a very weird, I'm sure, history. But I like the term because it's I like the future, like sort of aspect of it in a way, like
kind of ever evolving, kind of makes me think of there's always like issues that you need to think of and change your position on. I've kind of come up with my own little thing there. But are
Yeah.
there in other countries where you think the term progressive people would understand what you're talking about? Like, let's say in European countries, do they use the term progressive?
In UK, far less than US, but I think they would. Yeah, I mean, you watch Novara Media, they mention it.
True.
Progressive policies, progressive law, but like, for example, I remember in economics, like it has a specific meaning. Progressive, for example, tax policy and all that. So,
okay, yeah. No, that's
you know, there is all that too. But I don't know about like. I have no idea about
progressive
like anywhere
tax
else.
Good point. But okay, all right, nice stuff. Sorry for that little detour.
On definitions.
But yeah, maybe someone else can write down in the comment section what they think about the term.
On the etymology of the word.
But okay, Sam, should we start with this first tweet by Glenn Greenwald?
Sure.
So I told you, I like half understood this tweet. I still found it funny. I found Sam Seder's part funny. Aaron Maté was funny, although I didn't really know who the gentleman is, who Michael is. So you're going to explain that a bit. But yeah, guys, you can see the tweet is flashing on the screen right now. So Sam Seder has been sacking around various online and cable platforms for 15 years, spouting liberal platitudes and serving the Democratic Party while earning his living from Google. And this is the first reporting he ever did in his life, a real blockbuster. Congrats, Sam. I mean, I don't know if Sam's being, even without understanding the issue, was funny, but yeah, let me just read Sam's tweet.
I mean,
today,
look,
Majority Report received a phone call from Conn College student who claims he interacted with Michael Tracy and has since tested positive for COVID. He claims he informed Michael. Michael, can you confirm? So I think, to be fair to Sam Seder, as you would like to say, he's mocking the guy, right? Because I watched the video a bit. It's kind of like this guy who shows up on campus and starts saying, you do a better job. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I don't want to take any sides on this.
Yeah.
But I would say everybody here is quite being funny. Even like
and Aaron Maté is being funny. I mean, he's been super funny.
Aaron Maté, I think after his Cenk impression has proven his sort of funny bone skills. Yeah, his comedian skills has been revealed. But Sam Seder, whom I really don't like his style and all that. But I don't know what exactly has happened. But Michael Tracy, who's a former contributor to TYT, who sort of had a big fallout with them after he left Russiagate, all the type of Jimmy Dore shit. He's gone to this, I believe it's Connecticut.
I just said Conn College, but because I didn't know what it's like, because it's acronym here. Connecticut. It's a hard word for us to say.
Yes.
I can never name it. Yeah. Can never pronounce
it. My brain just yes, that's a university located within that location you mentioned. And there he I mean, I went to their Twitter stuff. He claims that they're using corona contact tracing to surveil people, and it's sort of a war on terror situation, you know. But the video seemed kind of ridiculous. Students were making fun of him. He had a weird thing in his hand. So I don't know what the fuck was going on. But I do think Sam Seder was being funny there, I think. Yeah. But when Glenn, you know, whoever dunks on Sam Seder, that's funny. So that's automatically funny. But I think Aaron Maté I think you should read that. That's just the best part.
So the Aaron Maté part. Glenn, be careful. Sam might challenge you to debate. Everyone's scared of debating Sam, according to Sam.
I love that part, because Sam Seder is always going on about like why Steven Crowder doesn't debate me, or why that person doesn't invite me on their show, or why that I don't know if you've seen that, or he tries to force people into debating him, and I just and I love the star according to Sam.
No, Aaron Maté is too funny, but
on the whole substance of the matter, I have no opinion on, because it's just so many contradictory information. So I don't know what the fuck is going on in that college.
Yeah, and like I watched a little bit of Sam's video, Sam Seder's video. Apparently, not that it changes much, but it's a tiny college. Apparently, we're speaking of like 2,000 to 3,000 students, not even. So for the US, that's like
Uh,
that's like a that's like a department at best. That's like yeah,
it's
that's
like
nothing.
same people live on my street, same number. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a big state, so it makes sense if their university is not that big.
No, yeah. I mean, not that it makes anything
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do okay, or
yeah.
we just don't know. That's all.
Exactly. No, it's just funny. Exactly. These three tweets are funny without even understanding the content.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of background. A
That's
little bit of
true. Yeah.
background makes it funny. But yeah, Aaron Maté, the comedian there. Buzzsaw Aaron. Okay. Should we move on to the next tweet?
Sure.
Okay, so this
yeah.
one is by Paula Jean Swearingen, which I don't know too much about her, except she took part on the recent in the protests that they were doing at Capitol Hill.
She was a Justice Democrat candidate that ran against somebody famous. They ran and they did a lot of things, but she lost by a tiny margin, I think, or a small margin relatively. And then recently she's gone to the whole Nick Briahna, Jimmy Dore stuff, saying that Justice Democrats are sellouts and they didn't support and all that. So yeah, all right, okay. I didn't know she's back in the news. All right.
Yeah,
but
I guess
I saw her on Jimmy Dore or something.
Exactly. I think she was with Nick Briahna on recent Jimmy Dore episode. So they were doing a protest at the Capitol Hill because the eviction moratorium was over. So the people from the People's Party were there. And I kind of just wanted to use this tweet to bring up something I heard on the Jimmy Dore episode. So when members of Congress occupy our nation's Capitol steps, they get sound systems and get to dance. When ordinary people do this, is the welcome we get. We can't even use bullhorns. So based on what...
by the way, wait. Bullhorn, as in the ones they use in war to go...
Yeah. I guess or something similar. Well, I think, similar, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing something like that. But yeah, pretty much because I was listening.
Interesting choice of words.
And it's not surprising what I'm going to tell you. It's just like a nice little piece of detail. But apparently, so Nick Briahna and the others who were on Jimmy Dore show, they were saying that they found out to the police officers that when Cori Bush and AOC, they were protesting there, the reason they were allowed to sit down and relax and be there for days is because, be there for however long they were, while relaxing, is because they had a special permission from Congress, whereas they didn't have that permission. And so they weren't allowed to bring chairs or anything to sit down. And apparently if they just shut their eyes for a second, they could get arrested. So they were just talking about, which, like I said, I mean, it's not surprising. While members of Congress get different, different treatment, but, it's just like a small way of how they make life hell for people, for different kind of people protesting, which was like a nice little detail I thought that came out of that. So yeah, they weren't really able to protest in the same way. The pictures of Cori Bush, she looked, nice and relaxed compared to that. So yeah, I just wanted to use the tweet to bring that up.
Yeah, I'm sure this is not going to be very popular, but I must say I'm not really surprised. Like,
I didn't say surprised. Yeah.
No, I know, but they're members of Congress, and that's Congress. So, of course, they're not as much of a security risk as some just random people showing up.
But I mean, it's not random people. I'm sure for protests, you still get other permits and all this. It's not like that random, but I guess there are different levels that members of Congress, not surprisingly, can obtain.
Yeah. It's easier for them to get better. And if I don't understand, if the real change comes through difficult even the 1960s civil rights movement, which I don't think has been as effective as it's been made out to be, protests, real protests tend to not be very nice.
And I mean, they're just pointing out so people, maybe those who don't know, maybe they understand their different ways and just understand the different layers of the system. Not everything doesn't make as much sense, or not everybody knows everything already like you would do, or so it doesn't seem surprising. But I get your point.
You do make him sound like a douchebag.
But I understand your point. Okay. That's why I tried not to blow it out of proportion, because I knew that's why I chose my words very carefully. But yeah, it was the main part of what I
fair enough. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I just okay.
Sure. But you're right, protests have never been easy. But I mean, it's kind of funny how you can't really bring like chairs and stuff to protest, but like if you want to go wait outside a store like overnight for like the new release of a shoe or iPhone or stuff, you can like camp out there like nice and easy, comfortably.
Yeah. Well, that's not putting capitalist interest at risk.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know.
But I would say, I do feel like if I was the cops and stuff, I would say just let them protest. Why do you care? Like, it's not gonna let them sleep. Whatever, man. Just whatever. Just
if people were like that, then that would be good.
Whatever. It would be.
Then we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's all bad press, and if they sleep there, do you think anything will change? Just let them sleep there.
But okay, let's move on. Let's keep this going. Okay, so the next tweet, this will give us a chance to talk about the California election in probably a fun way.
Interesting.
So Kyle Kalinske pointed out that Caitlyn Jenner had a strong showing with 1% of the vote in the Cali governor race. But if you're telling me there were like 40 candidates, you were telling me this, that there were like dozens and dozens of candidates.
More than 40.
Wow, yeah. So I'm not surprised. But I mean, I knew for sure this. I mean, I don't even know if this is the end of it. Maybe she wants to run in like a real election at some point, Caitlyn Jenner.
This was it seems to have been a clear, it was a documentary thingy. Like there was a crew going around with her. She's probably going to sell it to Netflix or Hulu or something. So it was a reality show like thing. And that's why, by the way, her campaign sank so badly, because it became obvious that there was a crew going around with her, like recording everything, and like she's
such a clown shit. I'm gonna try to resist not watching it, because really some people just piss you off. I don't know why. I mean, it could still be entertaining.
I find her to be despiteful.
I mean, when you come out and say that much hateful I mean, I don't know, just when you come out and say so much hateful, when your politics are that hateful, sometimes, I don't know, I just can't stand
your
it.
Politics and your personality, as at least what we've seen from reality shows. I know they're not real.
She just seemed like a caricature, the stuff that she was saying. Like this one example I told you.
Somebody with a car. I genuinely, I think, no, I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know back in the day, it's rarely talked about. But
I don't know. Yeah,
he seems she seems so out of touch. Like the other Kardashians are more careful not to be out of touch. Like in a campaign interview, she talked about like her anger.
Are they?
I swear, like they wouldn't talk about the person who handles their jet. Like they don't take the conversation that far.
Oh, okay, I don't.
Like, who says that? Like, nobody takes it that far. Like being
this guy, my new shoe licker, he just doesn't lick the line.
At least normal people can be like, I have shoes, so I kind of understand. But airplane, you're pushing it. Like we're not gonna really bond over this conversation.
Can you believe the cost of a jet fuel these days? It's crazy, man. Government is not doing anything right.
But yeah, anything to say about the election besides her?
No, but it is. I think it's going to lead probably to some changes in Democratic, at least. Democrats going to push probably for some electoral changes in California, because this election became under criticism for being extremely, like the procedure of the fact that you have to first vote whether you agree with the recall or not, and then if then Gavin Newsom doesn't have enough votes, then it goes to the other candidates and then you vote for them. And there were problems with the mail ballots, that there were holes in them. You could see some people how they voted and all that. This was covered on The Hill, by the way. I'm not talking about the bullshit right-wing claims that, mail-in ballot is bullshit. Those things are Larry Elder and Trump are both idiots, basically. So that was so that's probably one consequence. Another thing is that I don't think Democrats should be too happy about it, because a lot of people said that people saw this as taking out the garbage, sort of, just because they didn't want Larry Elder, who's a nut job, basically, radio host, right-wing, sort of crazy person, to get the job. So they voted for Gavin Newsom, who is basically the embodiment of corporate Democrats. And by the way, Stephen Colbert, I think now that Trump has left office, is getting a bit more funnier again, and he did a great bit on Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
And he's a speech trying to be I would do the joke, but I would fucking murder the joke. So really watch that. He talks about how Gavin Newsom tries to, he gives a speech and he talks about that the fact that these conspiracy theories about mail-in ballots, and he says democracy is not a football, it's a vase. And trying to be just like how the guy,
Newsom
what's his name, the Jenner guy, tries to reach out to the common man through jet fuel cost. He was trying to talk about antique vase as if it's so I don't think Democrats should be too happy about that, but it's still, he did manage to win California, so
yeah,
that's good.
No, not too bad. And I mean, I guess I'd never even believed in this, and anyway, and this is like a governor election, but so I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But any kind of backlash that Biden would get from his Afghanistan withdrawal, I mean, I don't believe in that. And you oppose that. You've made your views clear on that so many times, that foreign policy is almost irrelevant. Although you could say that George Bush became very unpopular towards the end. He was very unpopular, and that could be due to how the Afghanistan and Iraq were going. But in general, I agree with you. But yeah, I mean, anyway, this was a governor race in California. But it clearly didn't impact that. And Biden went and rallied for, not rallied, but what's it called?
I think it had more to do with a lot of people, like national issues and Trumpism, and the fact that Californians got scared that shit, Larry Elder might get into office. Because if it was just if it became a referendum on Gavin Newsom, he would have probably lost because of his extreme lockdowns, and because he gave the Hollywood and tech industry, basically, they could work, but the small businesses couldn't work and all that. So I think it national issues. But foreign policy, I don't know. Even George Bush one, I don't think it had more to do with, I think,
his stupidity.
Just his stupidity, the economic crash, 8 years of not more than 8 years, because Clinton was really a continuation of George Bush and Reagan years. So I think it had more to do with that, and Obama change and all that. But that's, I mean, who knows though.
Actually, we're going to talk about George Bush again in one of the other tweets. Hands down, one of besides having all the other issues that normal politician has, all their flaws, he's straight up a dumbass on in a very obvious way on top of that.
There is one person that really tops him in terms of dumbass. Trump is a stupid bully, But no, what's his name? The Texas guy. Energy secretary. Rick Perry,
yeah, he was up there too.
Oh man, SNL, Bill Hader did this Rick Perry impressions, and they cracked me up so much. He's just this completely this basically dumbass. He didn't know nuclear bombs and nuclear stuff was part of energy department's portfolio. this is after he became like the secretary. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next tweet. And this one is Cenk announcing that Nina Turner is now part of the TYT family. So she's gonna regularly guest host a bunch of different TYT shows. So she seems like she's gonna be relatively active. Now she is, as much as TYT is hated nowadays in like a segment of the online progressive world, she was pretty liked, at least leading up until she lost it in the election. I think she is still pretty much liked too. So I'm curious to see how this is going to happen, if it's going to ignite some interesting conversations on TYT, if it's going to make some nice stories for us to talk about. I mean, the pessimistic people and the cynical ones I've seen, they're like, she's just going to become like TYT and say TYT stuff. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, well, I really don't know how this is going to be. I have a feeling it might just be like nothing. She might not do that much and it won't be anything interesting, but maybe it'll be interesting. She's a bit different than people they've had that has joined recently. I mean, she's like a different background, someone who's been in politics, someone who wants to continue being in politics. But yeah, any kind of takes. I mean, it's too early for me to have any kind of. I'm curious. Wait and see.
Yeah, I found it odd, to be honest, because Jimmy Dore actually played this video. His wife played this video on their channel that she was saying, Nina Turner was saying that Jimmy says what I can't say or something, which seemed to be from the recent campaign for the senatorship. So like, it's just, I don't know if you can balance that, but it would be like, the thing is, I think, to be fair to her, she did have some podcast of her own and stuff, but like her own channel and stuff never really took off in terms of like, I think so. This is a good move practically for her. And I don't think she would have to, I don't know what's in her contract, but I doubt she'll be forced to censor herself.
No. And
they might not renew her contract after a while, but
she probably won't want to. I'm guessing this is just like, to fill in the gap until her next campaign or something. But I mean, they're still pretty much one of the bigger platforms. But what's interesting, I remember back then I was seeing some videos with her when they held like town halls and stuff for her on TYT, and they didn't do that well, the videos. But I think that's because the nature of the video. So I think when she starts getting her opinions out there, if she possibly starts saying stuff about the Democrats, that could attract again, maybe TYT will gain back a few of their viewers or something. A few of, the hardcores, so to speak, who have lost interest in TYT. But yeah, we shall have to wait and see if anything interesting comes out of here. Do you have anything else to say about this tweet, or should we move on?
No, let's move on.
Yeah, okay. And the next one, again, my bad, it's this that you have. So you should get to the one about Aaron Maté again. Are you there? It's just Aaron Maté. So it says, may he weep one more day upon his conviction at The Hague. And this is about some chap saying that George Bush was almost crying. I mean, they've tried to rehabilitate.
No. Wait. Read that full tweet by Michael Beschloss.
Almost weeping, George W. Bush rebukes those Americans who have turned their backs on the America I know. Important speech. I mean, it almost reads like sarcasm. But I don't think it's sarcasm.
No, that's, by the way, when you need Norman Finkelstein to come in and just really important speech. Like, I would love to know Norman Finkelstein take on this speech.
Maybe we should have Norman as a guest for these tweets. He sees the tweets and he just destroys them.
Please, your take. Yeah, please just answer these assholes in a way only you could. Aaron Maté may weep one day upon his conviction. I doubt he would, because he's an idiot. But I would say. This reminds me again of an anecdote I heard on Useful Idiot, I think, this week they talked about Norman Finkelstein when Thomas Friedman, not Milton, we talked about last week. Thomas, he writes for New York Times or Washington
Okay,
Post.
yeah, heard him. Yeah,
he's famous for his shitty writing and weird metaphors, and basically he does puff pieces for like MBS, UAE leader, whoever. He did this puff piece for MBS, and apparently Norman Finkelstein described it as a protracted, is that right? Protracted, long, taking a protracted blowjob. He did this puff piece about MBS Saudi Arabia. So this just like these type of insults, if they come to my mind, this is the type of insult you should aim at people like Michael Bush. This is George Bush did far more than. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's about to run off battery. Yeah. So, but it's just George Bush and like Patriot Act warrant. Like, I mean, by the way, watch the Cheney movie if you want to know what happened. I mean, to be fair though, George Bush was not really involved. To be fair,
I mean, it seems like he was a dumbass.
He was just in the White House vicinity.
Yeah.
That was as much as his involvement.
Yeah.
In the whole thing.
Which Cheney documentary are you referring to specifically?
Not documentary, the movie Vice by Adam McKay movie Vice. I think it's better than any documentary on the matter, to be honest.
Brilliant. But yeah, and I don't know why they tried to rehabilitate this guy. I mean, I won't forget, like Ellen DeGeneres said the stupidest thing about him last year. Just shows like nobody understands anything really. But
power is the most attractive thing, and people who have fame and power tend to attract the most, the most pathetic of people who are pretty much, I mean, again, we're going to talk about the tweet that I think really touches on this subject. I can't hear you. I'm connecting.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to keep this going. I'm going to keep this going because I think we have one.
Wait. Just keep going. Hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Sorry. But that was I thought that was good improv by my.
Yeah, no, I had to cut off a bit because you started messing it up. But okay. Anything else to say about this tweet before we move on to our last tweet?
No, but yeah, really, I don't know who that is, but yeah.
Just another suck up. Okay. So we're
ostracized.
So our last tweet is again, I just used Glenn. He wrote perfection, but yeah, it's about AOC's dress. Tax the rich that she wore to the Met Gala this past weekend. Sam, any thoughts regarding this dress? I mean, I can give you my nicest.
Regarding the dress? Just
regarding the whole subject. I can give you like.
I like white, I suppose.
The nicest thing that I can say about it is that, fine, you do such a thing for publicity and all this, and I don't expect much from you, but the slogan itself is lazy. You know what it reminds me of? Because tax the rich has kind of nothing to do with this event. It kind of reminds me of like these people who they suddenly get called.
Met Gala is an art event.
Yeah,
right?
It's an art thing, right? So, it kind of reminds me of these people who get called on to like a network show like CNN or something, and they don't usually do because they don't share those politics. So they just want to dunk on the host as badly as they can, but they don't pick their opportunity properly. It's just like too rushed, so it doesn't come off well. And this is how this comes up, like tax the rich. Why? Like somebody suggested on Katie Halper's show, and this is the nicest like take on this. She was like, maybe something like fashion isn't sustainable, something that's at least relevant to this kind of event, like fashion is unsustainable,
or fashion industry,
or something like that. It just reminds me as like she tried to force this into it, So yeah, even that's like my nicest interpretation or like take that I have. What anything crosses your mind?
I would say that personally, I really couldn't care less if politicians. I am for much higher pay for politicians, so they are not as corrupt. I think they should be paid what CEOs and shit are paid, because we paid them like $300,000 a year, and what we expect them to go to talk to Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos can, like, his paycheck can fucking slap them in the face and their head with snap 3 times, so it's just I'm not one of those people. They shouldn't go to Met Gala, and this is but if you do go to Met Gala, don't fucking pretend you're like part of this Paris Commune revolutionary living in the trenches, tax the rich type thing. So it's just, as again, like I keep doing this, like this Persian saying, there's this Persian saying about like people, but they like a horse that wants to drink from the river and sort of like the water thingy from the stables. Like you can't have it both. You can, or you can't have your cake and eat it too, as they say, I suppose. That's what like is annoying. Otherwise,
no, that's very good.
For example, if she voted. If she had voted properly, if she hadn't recently said some bullshit stuff in some documentary, some interview she did with CNN or something, if she didn't, as a justification for her dress, say that this was a way to get in the blah, 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 just shut the fuck up. Just if you want to go to party, go to party. You can afford it. It's fine. Who cares? Like,
no, I mean, I'm like, fine, go to a party, sure. And you want to take advantage, get some kind of message out. Like, get something that's like in tune with the thing.
No, that's she wasn't getting
at the very least.
The only message she was getting was pay attention to me.
Yeah, 100%, 1,000,000%, 100%. Especially given the message that she picked at fine, because it's so like, and it's so like simple and basic. You would find this on like an H&M. Like I'm sure like big brands sell shirts saying tax the rich, because it's just so like generic and like that it's just so like meaningless. You know what I mean? It's just like you can be a little bit more creative, and at least if someone wants to be nice. I understand what you're saying. I told you it's a good faith interpretation.
I generally don't think dresses are where you should really like express
no, I agree with you.
Ideology, like writing extensive. I find tweets to be problematic.
Yeah. No,
so
I
now
told you it's a very
Morse codes. It's just. And the worst part, to be honest, was, by the way, I've been to similar events like that, and it's fucking, you don't, even if you go to these events, you don't have to dress like that. A lot of people don't. And she's just showing how novo-rich she is as well. And there's a video, that one really stuck out to me, because dress is like, you see Hollywood shit, they're fucking crazy. Like, nope, like you see these type of like new money people all the time, but then you have these 2 people behind her in one of the videos Glenn put, that are holding this fucking whatever thing,
her dress,
behind her, and she's doing this as going to photographers and all that. And it's just like, again, all of this is fine if you don't pretend to be a socialist who gives a shit about workers. Just Nancy Pelosi, when she talked about ice creams and all that, I really liked it. She was being who she is. She has like a fucking whole room of like a Ben and Jerry, like exclusively customized ice creams. That's who she is.
No, well put. No, good stuff. And then but apparently there's one guest there who did something, who managed to achieve something. So one of the artists who was invited, her name is Billy something. She's like 19 or something. And then, so, like the big artists, they get paid. So apparently AOC paid like 30,000 or something for the dress. Apparently, if I'm not mistaken, she got herself. But big artists, they get paid to wear like a certain dress. And apparently this Billy person, artist girl, she told the
Oh,
company
Billie,
that,
is it Billie Eilish? The
yeah,
singer?
exactly. And she told the
She's,
company
I've heard
about,
of her.
yeah, so it told them that only if you stop using fur and selling fur completely, I believe, and then I'll wear your dress. And they agreed, apparently. So this
Oh, cool.
company,
That's cool.
yeah, so this company was already doing away with fur based on what I had understood, but they already
Oh,
had
okay.
it in certain parts of, no, they already had it in certain parts of their business, but apparently
But
she
she made
forced
them
them,
go
yeah,
full.
yeah.
That's
So
I like that. I like
yeah,
that in like forcing a company in negotiations to fucking submit.
yeah, that's
That's
not bad.
nice. That's sweet.
And that's what made me, yeah. And even, yeah, the guest on Katie Halper, she said, I mean, even if fine, if you want to be really nice to AOC, at least come up with like a slogan or something that's kind of relevant, I would say.
I'm again, I'm objecting to this
Yeah,
whole
no,
like
no, I
thing.
agree.
This is the point of contention of this week
No,
because you
but I
keep
agree with you. So there's
focusing
no
on
point of
if the graffiti was better, if
no,
maybe
it just
if the
pisses me off
poem
how
was
lazy and cheesy the phrase is at the same time too. It just like, it just overboard, you know?
yeah, sure.
It's just,
But that's like that annoys me on Twitter. On your fucking dress,
yeah.
just wear normal. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm just
but right, Sam.
I'm a stickler for normal dress code, I suppose.
Yeah, the Met Gala should have a dress code. Okay. No writing. All right. No graffiti on your dresses. But all right, let's wrap this up. It's been a super fun episode. Unless you have anything special to say to get off
Yeah.
your chest. If not, folks, please like and subscribe.
Oh,
Thank you
that
very
was
much
it?
for watching. Yeah, that was it. That was the last tweet. Did you have anything?
All right. No,
Bad?
it's
Yeah.
yeah. No.
No, that was the last one.
No. I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.